The star forest. The morning after Lucia Night was silent. Not the kind of silence that feels empty, but the kind that is filled with something sacred. The snow shimmered like silver in the pale sunlight, and Miss Sofie could still hear the faint echoes of the song that had carried them through the night. Wimsey snored softly inside her head, curled up in front of the fire. Miss Sofie looked at Wimsey, smiled before gently pushing the door open. The cold nipped at her nose, but the air smelled of something new, something clean. She stepped outside. The snow crunches softly under her paws, and down in the valley stretches a forest she had never noticed before. The branches sparkled like tiny stars, and the air hummed faintly, as though the trees themselves were singing. She hesitated for a moment. The Star Forest, she whispered. The name seems to linger in the air as if someone else has spoken it before her. When she stepped between the trees, the sound of the wind disappeared. Everything stood still, and yet everything moved. The little lights among the branches pulsed rhythmically, as if the forest itself were breathing. Something brushed past her paw, a feather, white as frost, light as a thought. She picked it up carefully and felt a warm shiver run through her body. "Welcome, light bearer," said a deep voice. Miss Sofie frozen. Before her stood an owl, large, grey, and with eyes the color of amber. Its gaze was ancient yet kind, as though it had seen everything but could still be moved. "I'm the guardian of the Star Forest," it said. "Only those who have forgotten may go further." Miss Sofie looked down. She knew instantly who it meant. The shadow. The sharp still lingered somewhere in the darker corners of the thoughts. I think I have," she said quietly. The owl's eyes softened. "To think is the beginning. To forgive is to release, not for others, but for yourself." She closed her eyes. In her mind she saw the dark figure again, the shadow that had threatened her, the fear that had whispered doubt. But instead of running away, she walked toward it. She reaches out of the paw. "I forgive you," she said. A light burst from her chest, not bright, but calm, like a ray of gentle sunlight. When she opened her eyes again, the shadow was gone. Only the white glow of the feather remained in the snow. "You have done it," said the owl. "The Star Forest opens only to those who remember that light and shadows belong together." Miss Sofie bowed her head slightly. "Thank you," she said. The owl's wings spread like a wheel of stars, and in a single shimmer it vanished. The forest began to sing, a deep, tranquil melody that made the snowflakes dance in time. She walked on through the clearing until the trees opened toward the sky. Above her, the stars stretches in 1,000 glimmers, and in the center of the snow stood a single tree, taller and brighter than all the others. On its trunk glowed a symbol shaped like a heart. She placed her paw upon it, and a gentle warmth spread through her. She didn't know why, but it felt like a promise. A sign that her journey was drawing closer to something greater. When she turned to head back, snow began to fall again, soft and quiet, like a blessing. When she turned around and looked back, at the edge of the forest stood Wimsey, rubbing the sleep from her eyes. I thought you just went out to sniff the snow, she mumbled. Not to get lost in a whole new adventure. Miss Sofie laughed, holding the glowing feather in her paw. Some adventures find you even when you're only out for a walk. Wimsey raised an eyebrow. As long as they also find their way home for tea. The both laughed as they made their way back toward the house, with the song of the star forest drifted behind them like an echo of peace. Miss Sofie looked back once again. The forest blinked at her, and somewhere deep within her heart, she blinked back. That's the end of December the 14th. If you dare to come back tomorrow, I will tell you about the forgotten gift. Merry Christmas.